man, that like holier than thou wholesome reply to our Facebook, our hilarious Facebook and Instagram post. We got to block that person, man. We don't want that.
Concerning. I don't know how I feel about the whole calling people Karens thing, but if there is a Karen on this earth, that lady is it.
It's like definitely unfortunate for very cool people named Karen that they have a name that's associated with being unpleasant, to put it as lightly as possible. But then again, I mean, like, what about fucking Jerry, right? Like, that's, isn't that like a name for, like, a fuck up or something like that?
I thought that was Nazis. Jerry's were Nazis.
Jerry's were Nazis. Maybe that's where that's coming from. That's not very nice then.
It's not that nice. But anyway, yeah. That lady needs to go. Sorry, don't follow things you don't like.
And so the post in question was it's a still from the film Gummo, and it said before there was Stranger Things, there was Gummo, which, like, if you're familiar with both works, you would know that there's virtually nothing in common between the two in any way, shape, or form, other than it has humans in it, and like that's
human kids going on adventures. I mean, one is like supernatural adventures, and one's like, I think in Gummo, one of the kids
adventures into extreme generational poverty and all that comes with it.
Right, and just extreme depravity on every level.
It's I hate that movie. I've told you that before. It was like on our it wasn't on our short list. It was on a list.
I wanted to do an episode on Gummo, and Andrew vetoed that right out of the gate.
Dude, I fucking hate Gummo. I hate kids too, for that matter.
I hate kids. I hate kids.
Both of
as
those
long
movies.
as we're talking about, so it's Harmony Korine, right? I don't like, and I think Larry Clark or whatever. I don't like kids. That one creeps me out. I don't want to think about underage kids getting AIDS or whatever it is. Spoiler alert.
That's
too much. I don't think I've finished. I've tried to watch that movie maybe twice. Neither time did I get through it. Both times I shut it off. And then I think the only reason I watched it again is because I forgot how awful it was.
I watched both. I guess not Gummo because it didn't come out later. I watched Kids in high school, and it was the most depressed I had ever felt after watching a movie, other than maybe Requiem for a Dream. I was going through every film fan has their little like edgy. I'm into these horrible, tough to digest indie films.
I'm a dark, moody little poet.
Now, I do think Requiem for a Dream is like a masterpiece, but it's a masterpiece I will never watch again. I'm sure somebody thinks Gummo's a masterpiece, but it's not.
I personally love Gummo. I don't. I mean,
so
I hail it as a masterpiece. It's not one that I would like watch over and over again, but I'll watch it. I'll watch it every few years. It's Gummo, dude.
And I will never watch it again for the rest of my life. So I'm glad between the two of us it balances out.
It's been vetoed, folks. I hope we get tons of fan mail to faroutflixpodcast@gmail.com demanding Gummo.
I mean, whatever, like, our original Facebook group kept demanding a Serbian film, and, like, I'll fucking sit there and say no for forever. But, well, maybe, and here's the thing, I guess here's the avenue by which these two movies, I mean, I'm not doing a Serbian film, god damn it. The theoretical avenue for Gummo is, and this is actually, I'm so excited to announce this to everybody, our Patreon is going live. We have bonus content that we are very excited to share with you guys. There's some other perks, but if you get the premium Patreon, patron status, which is Troy tier. That is where you have ascended to the mega fan level of Troy. Uh, if you do that, I would entertain maybe doing Gummo. But a Serbian film's off the fucking table. Like, dude, watching, yeah, not okay.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. But from what you've told me, I don't really want to watch that.
It's so concerning that we had. I mean, like, a lot of people try to suggest we do that. A whole lot of people.
People are fucked up. I think, they just wanted to torture us a little bit. I think it was more of a joke. I think they just wanted to watch us suffer through it.
It's like whenever somebody does, a contest to determine where like a concert is or whatever, and then 4chan decides to send them to fucking Juneau, Alaska or whatever. Walmart in Juneau, Alaska. I think they did that to like Pitbull or somebody along those lines once upon a time. They were nothing against Juneau, Alaska. My dad was born in Juneau. Fun fact.
Nice.
I think so. He was born somewhere in Alaska.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like that was what was going on with those contests.
That person was a troll. We could just say that, right? I think they were trolling us. Or that's their favorite movie and they really want us to commentate on it. I don't know.
If it's your favorite movie, you're kind of a little bit, you're questionable. And like, I mean that in like the most like legal repercussion way I possibly can. Like, your family needs to know that that's your favorite movie, and they should be trying to get you some help.
You should probably be on a list.
And you're talking
Neighborhood.
I watched Society this weekend.
How was that?
Oh my god, Society was so much fun, but it is as weird and fucking depraved as it comes.
I looked it up, and it was like a person's ass had turned into a face. Is that the right movie?
That is what a Google image search will bring up for you for that film. It's weird. I mean, it's definitely not like a Serbian film weird, which again is like, I wouldn't let you near my fucking kids. But I don't have kids, by the way, just in case any stalkers are going to try and find a wee little Andrew somewhere.
He has a dog, and I'm assuming he wouldn't let that person near the dog.
Dude, that's a swift way for an ass kicking. So yeah, Society is. I don't want to. No, we're gonna do an episode.
We're gonna do an episode on it.
But like, I love the weird in Serbian film is too much. Was the point I was trying to make.
But welcome back to Far Out Flicks. I'm your host Braden. With me I have
Andrew, but you already knew that. You're here. You're listening. Maybe you didn't know it. If you're new, welcome. Come on in. The water's fine.
But yes, today we are doing Shogun Assassin, which, dude, I love this movie. There was a period of my life where I watched this like once a week, or just had it on in the background. All of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, which we'll get into, but they're so fun. I mean, honestly, for when the original films came out, like 1972, the effects are quite good. The practical effects are awesome. They're well made. They're not as seemingly low budget as you might expect. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would 100%.
The quality's there. It's there.
The quality is there. And there's a lot of cool things going on with these films. Very inventive, like in terms of on-screen violence, this was breaking boundaries that I don't know if most American directors had even considered touching yet.
Dude, 1972 is when the original film came out. And I must say, so these are like Japanese samurai films. The main actor, whose name is... You're going to have to excuse us with these Japanese names a little bit. But the main actor, Tomotsuburo Wakayama, who plays Ogami Ito, who is the lone wolf in these films. He is just such a badass. I would put him toe-to-toe with like Chuck Norris or any of those guys any day of the week.
For sure.
Apparently, he's like a judo champion, but just something about him. He's so kind of not your stereotypical leading man. He's kind of a little bit ugly and fat, I would say. He's almost like the Ron Jeremy of samurai films. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, like Ron Jeremy's.
Ron Jeremy has had a lot of sexual assault allegations come out towards him.
Yeah, and
recently.
that's where my like hesitancy to jump on.
But it
board
looks
with
a little bit like a Japanese Ron Jeremy, but like a much more badass one who could kick your ass.
Tamisa Burrow, I think, is actually much better looking than Ron Jeremy, but that's my 2 cents.
He is, and he's just so serious. Like he just looks. You look in that man's eyes, and you know he could kick your ass.
Well, I mean, if he was a judo champion, he definitely could.
He definitely could.
Yeah.
He definitely could. He's the man. I think he is what makes the films so good. I get a little excited when I talk about Shogun Assassin.
Yeah, he's been salivating at doing this one all week. It's been like a very excited point.
I'm about it. And actually, this was a audience requested episode. Yeah, I can't forget about that.
By one of our loyal fans, and one of the only ones who's made a request. So again, you guys make some requests.
Other than a Serbian, there have been other requests that we shot down.
We know you
Serbian
exist.
film.
We see the download traffic. Like, is that or like there's AI farms all over the world just downloading like recordings of our voices to try and steal our shit.
After you shit all over the guy who requested Serbian film, I think they might be a little nervous and afraid. You basically accused that guy of being a criminal, said you wouldn't let him near your dog. You went hard on him.
Just watch the movie.
I want the other listeners to know we're not going to shit on your movie choice.
You're right, but I can't think of anything else that I would just be like so totally opposed to doing. Just do a fucking Wikipedia search of the plot, Braden, and you'll figure it out from there, man.
I'm a little bit afraid. I don't want to. Keep it a surprise for when we finally do that bonus episode that we promised him.
But Jordan, thank you, Jordan, for the suggestion. We are happy to deliver this episode. Pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. We're yours to your ear holes.
Thank you, Jordan. But going way back, so originally, Shogun Assassin is basically a re-edited version of the Lone Wolf and Cub films, which are based off a Japanese manga. So the original manga, and I have not read the manga, but it looks awesome, highly influential. There's a whole lot of them. The manga series was created by writer Kazuo Koike and artist Goseki Kojima. And they were first published in 1970, and they were just like instantly very, very popular. And the premise is it's set in the Edo period of Japan.
And when was the Edo period?
I think that's like between the 1600s and the 1800s.
Like, yeah, basically the end of the 1800s.
The classical samurai period of Japan. You think about all the wooden buildings and, so much Japanese content is set in this period of time. It's basically like their version of our Westerns. And there's a whole genre.
It's basically like a Japanese Western, but for them. And, obviously not cowboys and, bandits and shit. I guess there would still be bandits, but...
There's bandits. But instead of Colt 45s, they all have samurai swords. And
yeah, no train robberies. How about that?
But yeah, so it was wildly popular, and basically within 2 years, they started releasing films based off of it. The film starred, again, Tomisaburo Wakayama as the Lone Wolf, and the Cub is
Akihiro Tomikawa.
So yeah, it's set in the Edo period, and it follows the story of a Ronin, who is a samurai without a master, who basically travels the land. There's a shogun who's kind of like a feudal overlord who's trying to kill him, and he's trying to kill the shogun, and he travels the land with his small son, who's basically a baby.
And he does all of this with his tactical assault baby carriage.
Yes, which is badass. It's like a wooden cart with like all sorts of weapons hidden inside of it.
Some more kind of ancillary relatedness, and I'm sure anybody who's familiar with this work and is cool knows what I'm about to say. But this film was heavily sampled for the Jizz's album Liquid Swords, which is one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. Uh,
Never leave home without it.
Pretty much. And then I guess another kind of like loot. Well, there's a lot of pop culture references to this, but one of my favorites. There's a Bob's Burgers episode about it.
I have not seen that, but I did read that, and I would love to watch it.
It's fun. It's wholesome. It's got that Jim Dotrieve wholesomeness.
But yeah, I love Wu-Tang Clan. I love many genres of music, but it's some of the best hip hop out there. RZA, who just sampled all these kung fu and samurai movies and all of their work and built a whole mythology. They're called Wu-Tang Clan. It's all based off of this, heavily influenced by it. He actually does screenings of these old kung fu and samurai movies on their website 36 Cinema, where he provides a live commentary, and they did actually watch Shogun Assassin.
Well, and they also literally made a film that effectively is a modern homage to this, The Man with the Iron Fists.
Did you see that one?
I did,
How
of
is
course.
that?
I mean, I had fun. I loved it. Did it win an Oscar? No. But do I care about Oscars? Not really anymore.
I think I actually did watch that, but I can't quite remember it that well.
It's fine.
It's cool though. I mean,
watch it. Give it a check.
I like the mashup of like samurai and kung fu stuff with hip hop. And wasn't there a TV show made by the same Samurai Champloo, or is that how you say it? Did you ever watch that one?
I did watch Samurai Champloo. I do not think that it is exclusively Wu-Tang.
No, I don't think it's Wu-Tang at all, but it has a whole hip hop soundtrack, so it's kind of that.
Afro Samurai, however, I think, was scored by the RZA.
No shit.
Yeah, pretty sure about that.
Interesting. Well,
if we're wrong, let us know.
That's fun. But yeah, so I mean, this Lone Wolf and Cub, there's 6 films. They're all awesome. I've seen them all. And highly influential. They ended up making 2 TV series based off of the property. Also, I want to say The Mandalorian is directly inspired by Lone Wolf and Cub, which makes total sense. I mean, it's the same exact concept. The Mandalorian is basically like an assassin who's traveling through the land with his baby, who is Baby Yoda, which is fun. And there's even a scene in the Book of Boba Fett that's just pulled directly from Shogun Assassin, the most famous scene in Shogun Assassin that is also sampled at the beginning of that Liquid Swords, which is just so good.
Choose the sword and join me. Choose the ball and join your mother in death.
Pretty badass. That's a deep choice for a baby to make.
It is for a human that's not even going to remember that decision, even if it does pick the one that results in it living. Although the whole film implies that the baby remembers all of that, right? Because he's like recounting it, So that's a crazy baby.
Going into that a little bit, Shogun Assassin is actually a mashup re-edit of the first 2 Lone Wolf and Cub films, and they just cut out massive parts of the original film. I think it's 12 minutes of the first film, and then it's predominantly the second film.
That's correct.
They actually cut out so much of the plot that it almost makes it totally incoherent. So they actually overdubbed that baby's voice narrating it to, I think, make it make sense. Because without that, it would just be, a montage of different cool fight scenes without any real overarching plot.
And while we're talking about they who did make these directorial cuts, and it's like the first mashup, right? Like years before there was Girl Talk, these guys were mashing films together and redistributing them for lots of money. or at least some money. I don't know about lots. But Robert Houston is the one of the two directors of this film. What do we know him from, Braden? What's Bobby?
He is Bobby. Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
In The Hills Have Eyes, the original Wes Craven film from 1977. And also, I believe he did a documentary that he won an Oscar for, right?
The Children's March.
Haven't seen it.
It was on HBO, actually, so...
Okay, well, maybe I'll check it out.
Yep.
I do got the old HBO. And then the other guy is David Weissman, who apparently was kind of like a hanger-on of Andy Warhol in the 60s, and he made this experimental film called Chow Manhattan, which earned him enough money to become a producer of other films, which he actually bought the rights of Lone Wolf and Cub for $50,000, and that's how he made this. And later on, he did Kiss of the Spider Woman, which I have not seen, but it sounds like that's a very far-out film, and it's been on my list for a while, honestly.
It did win an Oscar and was actually nominated for 3 other Oscars. Or rather, was it William Hurt?
William Hurt, yep. And
yeah, he won Best Actor for it. So
William Hurt is fantastic. Again, he's the main character in Altered States, and he's also in that show Goliath that I've been trying to get you to watch with Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh yeah, you have brought that up a few times. There's only so many hours in the day.
I get it.
I'll get to it. Altered States being a far out kind of legacy piece, we know you can't hear the episode anymore.
We're gonna reboot it. We're gonna do a reboot of that episode.
And we'll even put that shitty episode onto the Patreon.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean,
if we still got it somewhere.
If you want to pay to listen to that turd, we'll let you do it. But yeah. That's fun.
So when they mashed this up and they were trying to release it for an American release, essentially on the Grindhouse circuit through Roger Corman's company, New World Cinema, I found this to be interesting, and I think this is how they do dubs for a lot of foreign films, but they actually hired a bunch of deaf lip readers to write dialogue that would match the way their lips were moving.
Oh.
I find that to be kind of a fascinating process. And then they kind of...
That's in an effort to make it, work with the dub as smoothly as possible.
Exactly. I mean, and I guess they try to approximate the meaning, but while also making the consonants and whatever, the lip movements match as well as they can, which I thought they did a pretty good job in this movie, even though the voices in these kung fu and samurai movies are always like, "Hello, I speak very properly." Yeah,
it kind of sounds like Ted Wasana song.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah.
From King of the Hill, of course. Oh, yeah. Who is, what? That's Khan's boss or something?
No, it's like the man that Khan aspires to be.
Such a great character.
Yeah.
He's
very wealthy. He lives in Nine Rivers Country Club and, has the big house and the expensive cars, and he's also Laotian, so Khan's very, it's like Khan's dream version of himself.
Very good.
However, Khan has much better hair than Ted Wasana's song does.
That's true. That is true, but it doesn't matter when you're that rich.
I guess that is also true.
He could just Elon Musk it if he really wanted to and just get those plugs. I
don't know if the technology
plugs.
was there when
That's valid.
I feel like hair plugs have come a long ways.
I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk literally pioneered that technology and he just kind of did it on the down low. I've never seen hair plugs that look as good as his.
Maybe I'll get some hair plugs.
It wouldn't look right. You've owned the baldness. There's no going back. You're the villain of the show. I think it almost is more villainous to try to be deceitful about it.
I take a little solace in that. That's nice. I get to be the Walter White of the show / Lex Luthor / I don't know, pick your fucking bald villain.
We're not saying bald people are bad.
Darth Vader.
This goes...
I am bald. We're definitely not saying bald people are bad. We are not saying...
It's just Andrew. Just Andrew's bad and he happens to be bald.
Oh my gosh.
But The soundtrack of this is awesome. They redid the soundtrack. They left some of the original music in, but they ended up hiring this guy, Mark Lindsay, who was the lead singer of a 60s band called Paul Revere and the Raiders. He made awesome Moog synthesizer soundtrack, which kicks ass, and it's a whole vibe, and it's definitely a big part of the experience.
It is. And I do, that is one of my favorite parts of the film is the score. I just love anything with a good synth. You know, it's like why I'm so goo goo gaga about John Carpenter to an extent is his masterful use of the synth through the 80s.
100%. And it is a nice touch on these soundtracks. The synth, it has its place in film history, 100%. And it's worth mentioning that, you know, I thought about maybe we should do the Lone Wolf and Cub films. Maybe we just go back to the original source material, but then you don't get all the Wu-Tang tie-in. Like, really what they sampled was the Mark Lindsay synthesizer that was added in for the American release.
Well, I mean, given that it was a hip-hop album from the golden era of hip-hop, you know there's going to be rap skits or at least like some heavy intro dialogues. You know, there's no way to avoid it. It's all the best hip hop albums have it.
That's true. But can I say this? Maybe this is controversial. I don't know.
No, everybody wants to skip through them. Nobody likes to hear it.
But dude, the first time you hear Liquid Swords, you're like, holy! Especially whether you know this movie or not, you're like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
But like the 100th time, you're like, do I have to listen to a minute and a half of this again?
Yeah, I'd rather just get to the beats. But
when the MCs came to pick up the names.
Yeah, dude.
Yes. But yeah,
what's your favorite song from that album?
I like Cold World.
Fourth Chamber for me, but Cold World's an okay exception. Or selection. Exception. Selection is pretty good. That's acceptable.
I mean, they're all good, but I also love the title track, Liquid Swords, with the Willie Mitchell.
Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth is not good. It is the worst song on the album. Which it spells Bible, and I'm not trashing the Bible, but like this, it was a You God song, and You God's like the worst member of the Wu-Tang. So
you don't want to get Andrew started on You God. He has a lot of opinions about You God.
So bad. It is so unbelievable. I'm gonna listen to it after this because I've needed to put a smile on my face. And
oh, you're gonna listen to the song you hate after this?
Yeah, because I'll just like kind of riff on it by myself. To the dog.
There you go.
You know.
There you go.
I'll feel superior.
Tell Sassy how much you hate You God. Love it.
I don't even hate You God. I just do hate his solo album and that one song. Not a fan of it. It doesn't work with the rest of the album. It makes no sense there.
Didn't they find wasn't there allegedly, like the FBI had to kind of targeted Wu-Tang Clan as like a criminal organization, and it kind of came out that some of the shittier members of their larger group, not even Wu-Tang necessarily, but they had all these affiliated groups on the record label were basically the ones who were able to sell the most drugs and make the most money for them. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
Kill the Bees and all that stuff, and then one guy ended up tripping on PCP and cutting his dick off.
I did hear that. But again, I cannot say if any of this is
I think
substantial or not.
It's hearsay. We're not insiders in the Wu-Tang Clan.
But sure.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, fucking Suge Knight dangled ice, or not ice,
Vanilla Ice, not Ice Cube.
I know. I almost said Ice Cube, which is Ice Cube would never.
Don't mix
allow that
those
to happen.
two up.
Yeah.
Ever again.
I can only say this because Suge Knight's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, so I don't have to worry about him hunting me down and finding me later.
Now we're totally off topic, but do you remember the Celebrity Deathmatch episode when it's Ice Cube versus Ice-T, and then there's also Vanilla Ice in it? That was a fun show.
I would love for Celebrity Deathmatch to make a comeback.
Well, they made a comeback, and I just don't think it was as good. That was I don't know if it lost its edge or what, but no one was into it.
I missed out on an
in
attempt.
The 2000s or something. Yeah, they rebooted that. It was kind of like when they also rebooted BattleBots and no
I
one
was
gave a fuck
literally about
anymore.
to say the same thing, and it sucked. It sucked too.
Sometimes
Like,
you just don't give a fuck anymore. But here's my question about BattleBots. Why are they not like bipedal, humanoid BattleBots at this point? Why are we still doing little RC fucking bullshit?
How is the fighting robot technology come such a short, minimal distance?
We have military robots. We have drones. We have all of this stuff. I want to see two of those police dogs fight each other. I want to see a police dog fight one of the sweeper robots from Costco.
They're so expensive. The dog, like the General Dynamics or whatever, Boston Dynamics dog is, that's like millions of dollars of research and engineering. It'd be pretty tough to justify having that get ripped to shreds.
That will be a great show when we finally get there, which I believe we will in our lifetime. Didn't they make a movie about that with Hugh Jackman or something? Anyway, we're so off course.
They did, and I want to call it a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, but I know it's not a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, even though it's basically a Rock'em Sock'em.
They didn't secure the rights, but it basically was.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It Hugh Jackman or Gerard Butler? I'm pretty sure it was Gerard Butler. It was one of them.
They're kind of the same person. One of them was Wolverine, though.
What? They're kind of the same person. I don't even think they're the same nationality.
Whatever. Whatever. But anyway, back to Shogun Assassin. This movie kicks ass. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but Road to Perdition, that's originally a graphic novel, also based off Lone Wolf and Cub, and eventually they made that into a movie with Tom Hanks, which I watched that this week for the first time. And I think you said you haven't seen Road to Perdition.
That is correct. I have not seen Road to Perdition.
Watch it. It's awesome. I have thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I was like, how the fuck have I not seen this? It's so good.
And who's in it?
Tom Hanks.
All right. I mean, he might be a pedophile, but
Tom Hanks, Daniel Craig, and Jude Law. It's really good.
It is a pretty good cast.
And Paul Newman. It's extremely good.
And dude. Paul Newman?
Yes, he's the gang leader. It's so good. But yeah, it's the same premise. Like Tom Hanks is going through the world with his son. His goal is to assassinate Paul Newman, who's the gang leader. It's cool. It is Shogun Assassin. I mean, and the creator of the graphic novel said, "This is just one giant homage to Shogun Assassin." So there you go. Sweet. But yes, anyway, Shogun Assassin. It starts off with there's a whole speech about how the Shogun has devils in his brain. I think it's the kid. He said the Shogun
He's infected by devil or with devils.
Yes,
with devils.
It was
this
devils.
is on Liquid Swords, so like we really should both know it by heart. But
it's so good. And then basically, I think the Shogun kills the Lone Wolf's wife.
Well, he doesn't do it himself.
He sends assassins.
He sends his ninja assassins.
The beginning's so awesome. There's a guy with a basket on his head. I've seen this so many times. Every time I'm like, why the hell does he have a basket on his head? Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I can't see you, the guy with the basket on your head.
I mean, maybe you can like move around in it a little bit, so like dodge the strike, and it buys you another second to stab your foe.
But it doesn't work at all because he just gets sliced down right down the center of his skull, and it just starts off so badass because he's got the sword is embedded in his skull, and he just keeps talking, and he says, "You are marked for death. Wherever you go, you cannot escape the Shogun." Pretty badass.
It is pretty badass.
And then you've got the kid, the cub, Daigoro. And this kid has the craziest haircut ever. So his whole head's shaved except for a ponytail, sideburns, and bangs. The classic, the look. He's got the look.
Yeah, he's got the Japanese child look.
Yeah, the Edo period Japanese child look.
Edo period, yeah.
It's in a lot of movies though, but yeah,
It is in a lot of movies.
dude, I think that's an ultimate power move. Like if you were just to walk around with that haircut now.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like when people like intentionally give themselves the. I mean, nobody does this for fun, but like, if you were on a professional football team and somebody made you shave the monk's cut, the
Oh
monk's
yeah.
bald
Oh
patch out
yeah.
of the back. If you pull it off, it is a little powerful. It is kind of like a porn stash. Like, I mean, everybody kind of doesn't like it, but especially your girlfriend. Your girlfriend definitely doesn't like the porn stash. I don't care what she says. Uh, but there is some power that
There's
stems from
power.
it.
There's
There's
power to the
power
weird
there.
haircut. Or what about the weird memes of the guys who they've got the chin strap, they've got the circular ring of hair going from under their chin all the way up over their head.
That's it's
I've,
uh,
I've
it's like
always
a
thought
lion's
that
mane, but bad.
that's a power move. That's a power move.
That is a power move as well.
That is a big dick move. They don't give a fuck. But anyway, the father decides, the lone wolf, he decides he's going to try and escape and defy the Shogun. And this is an awesome line. He says, "Today I will begin walking the road to hell."
And he was the Shogun's decapitator. He was essentially like the executioner for the Shogun. So there's some like betrayal here.
Oh, was he? Is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He worked for the Shogun.
Oh, I see. Working for the Shogun.
Correct.
I see.
But then the devil's infected his brain.
yeah.
And now he's
Now
You
he's
get it.
crazy. Oh, yeah.
You get it. They get it.
But yeah, this part's badass. He says, and this is the classic lines from Liquid Swords. I just have to read it. I can't help it.
Do it.
Today I will begin walking the road to hell, but you must choose your own path. Choose the sword and you will join me. Choose the ball and you'll join your mother in death. You do not understand my words, but you must choose. And what does the little boy choose? Of course, the sword, because
It's a good choice. You done picked good.
unpicked
Diagro.
good. And then, of course, he says, your mother would be happy. You are my child. He didn't Bobby Hill it.
He did. Oh, that's hilarious.
Gotta
I
pick
wish
the
I was
sword.
better at Photoshop because I would just like Photoshop a Hank and Bobby
Oh my God.
lone wolf and
That'd be
and cub.
amazing.
If you are good, please do it. Please.
Please.
I can't offer you anything but my appreciation.
We need
Please.
Far Out Flicks original memes. Yeah, but the local official, he basically gives them two choices. He's like, swear loyalty to the Shogun, or you both have to commit harikari, which is basically when you commit suicide out of like, how would you describe it? Out of shame, or is it pride?
Correct. Seppuku is another word for it. Just commonly used. But the way to do it, as I understand it, is you take a blade, such as a katana, you turn it on yourself and stab into your stomach, and then basically pull up and disembowel yourself.
A horrible way to die.
Yeah, I mean, give me a gun and I'll kill myself, every time that way versus this self-disembowelment.
You ever listen to Elliott Smith? That's basically how he killed himself.
With a
Not a sword.
Fucking-
He just had a knife, and I think he was just being emo. But
that's a lot of commitment to being emo.
that's a lot of commitment to being emo. That's hardcore.
I mean, there wasn't even like a comet coming past that was gonna take his soul to like to heaven. Like there's
I don't know, but it sold a few records. He wasn't around to enjoy those successes, but anyway, the Shogun, he basically says, "Okay, Lone Wolf, you have to have a duel with my son." Of course, he kills the son. Well, actually, they kind of cheat. The baby blinds him with his headband, right?
well, in fairness, the son was already like when the fight started, the son the son of the Shogun, because I'm going to say son again, the son of the Shogun had the sun behind him. So he had like the blinding light advantage. But then
Ah,
Ogami ducks down and Diagoras little, like, I don't know, metal bang clip.
that he never has in any other scene.
Yeah, but it blinds the Emperor's son and
Slices his head clean off his shoulders.
yeah.
Which
He's good at decapitating, so
we
makes
might as
sense.
well say this movie has the best sword fights. Blood always squirts out. This might be the bloodiest film we've done. I mean,
It's
there
up
was
there.
a lot of blood in Evil Dead, but there might even, I think there's more blood in Shogun Assassin, probably.
We did do The Shining, which used like literally hundreds of gallons of fake blood.
That's true when it comes
But it
pouring
was
out
for
of
like,
that.
like less than 30 seconds of total screen time. So
There's a lot of, the blood squirts. Everyone who dies, blood just squirts out of them like a fountain.
it's
It's
pretty
fun.
sweet.
It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, so he's just killing everybody left and right. They're on the run. You know, they kind of live in this paranoid fear where, like, I think the Daigoro, the little boy, even says at one point, anyone could be a ninja, even a
Yeah.
pretty lady.
Even a pretty lady. And that's a valuable lesson for our listeners. You never know. People will surprise you.
People will surprise you. Sometimes it's who you least suspect. And if you don't think it could be a pretty lady, that's your own misogynist viewpoint shining
Correct.
through.
And that's how you're going to get stabbed to death in a fucking bar by the pretty lady assassin that's coming.
Yep. At one point, so he's already killing all the ninjas that are coming to get him. At one point, the Shogun sends some officials. They offer the Lone Wolf a pardon if he will kill his son. Well, he's not going to do that, of course. So he just kills all those guys.
Yeah. Big dick move.
Oh yeah, and I mean, of course, and every single person he kills, it's like a sprinkler of blood. It's pretty badass, and I think
I will say one of my only critiques for the film is the fake blood that they used is like the tomato sauce kind of looking fake blood, right? Like I like my fake blood to be more like a guar show. You know?
okay. Haven't
You know,
been to a
clear-
Guar show.
Guar's fun. I don't
There's
think
a
they're
new-
a thing anymore, but
There's a new documentary out about Guar.
good to know. I might check that out.
It-
But yeah, the blood's like a little tomato pasty for me. That's my little criticism.
It's bright red. It's definitely bright red.
That's my bald man criticism. I'd be the villain here.
Grumpy bald man criticism. The
Yeah.
blood wasn't good enough for Andrew.
Sorry, I have high standards.
I like the Guar reference though.
Yeah.
They were cool. Are cool. But anyway, at one point we see a whole room full of all these ninja women. They're wearing kimonos, shuffling around. Their leader, the Supreme Ninja, basically says, you know, these ninja women exist just to serve me, and I'm sending them out to defeat the lone wolf. A guy basically brings the message of the lone wolf to her, and she challenges him to escape from the room. And this is a cool scene. He like uses a grappling hook to like shoot up to the ceiling, but they catch him, and then they literally slice him up
To pieces. To bits.
piece by piece. I think first it's his fingers, then it's like an ear, then a foot, and finally he's just nothing but his torso and his head. Just rolling around on the ground, and then they stab him in the neck. I think you'd be long dead
Yeah,
by then. I
talk
would
about
imagine.
don't slice the messenger.
Piece by piece. That's one of the more brutal kills in the whole film, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
But later on, so basically we learn, the lone wolf, he's a killer for hire also. They offer these monks or whatever, I don't know if they're monks, but they offer him 1,000 gold pieces if he will kill the shogun's brother.
Which of course he's like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. I've done
Of
it for
course.
free.
I believe his name's Lord Kiru. And they say, but how do we know you're who you say you are? How do we know you're the lone wolf? This is an awesome scene. He just throws his sword into the wall, and it like is sticking out of the wall, and blood starts leaking down, and we find out there was a ninja hiding in the wall.
Nice.
And then the sword just slowly drags down the wallpaper.
As
That's
he's
pretty
like,
fun.
as the ninja falls or slumps down.
Exactly. But we learn
Nice.
that so the rest of the movie is about him. Spoiler alert, he doesn't really assassinate the Shogun in this first film. But the whole rest of the movie ends up being about him trying to kill the Shogun's brother, Lord Kiru. And we learn that Lord Kiru is on basically a pirate ship, being escorted by three brothers known as the Masters of Death, who have these giant, crazy, super big straw hats.
Much like the Three Storms in Big Trouble in Little China.
Exactly. That was just pulled right from this movie.
Yeah.
They're giant, awesome hats.
Look at that far out connection.
Also, at one point, the baby's talking about like how he keeps count of all the ninjas his father kills, and so far it's 342.
Which again, this baby is like 3 years old or younger. So that's incredible that he can count that high.
Yeah, most babies at that age are counting to 10, maybe 20, maybe.
Even capable of counting that high? I don't know.
342. Yeah, you don't have enough fingers and toes, little one.
He does if he keeps all of the dead ninjas, but
because he needs to know how many of their souls to pray for, which is pretty badass.
that's so nice.
That is nice.
A nice little kid.
But now, so we talked about the Supreme Ninja, who's like this badass ninja lady. She starts sending all of her female ninjas out to kill him, which it's awesome. At one point, there's like these old grandmas, and they're dancing. they're doing their tai chi in the park. But yeah, they're wearing these bright colors, and they like hypnotize him. Well, he just has to cut all those grandmas down. And then, of course, he comes to some ladies who are like singing this beautiful traditional song, and they're washing turnips in the river. Well, then all of a sudden, one of them throws the turnip right at the baby's cart, which I think you mentioned the cart earlier, but it's like a wooden push stroller.
It's like closer to a wheelbarrow than a cart.
Right.
I mean, no, it's not. It's not at all like a wheelbarrow. It is more like a cart, but
It's
like,
a cart.
It's big. It's a big, big cart, but it is like as you said, a child containment box. I don't know what the hell.
A
do you
stroller.
call it?
A stroller.
Yeah, but it's like a stroller, and a very large crib had a baby.
Sure. But there's some secrets to this cart, and we learn them in this scene as these women all start attacking him. The baby has like little buttons he can push, and like knives will shoot out, which is pretty awesome. I think one of them's running, and he like hits a button, and it just causes a blade to shoot out, and it just goes right into her vagina. I don't know if you caught that, but it just hits her right in the crotch. She's like,
crotch shot.
And then next, a woman. Next, he encounters the Supreme Ninja, which I also like this scene. She catches him in a giant net, and he cuts himself out, and she tells him, "I'm the Supreme Ninja," and he's like, "Oh!" And
the net had like fishing hooks in it, which is like pretty gruesome, you know.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Which is why he's like wincing while she has him like cast in it or whatever. Or caught in it. She cast the net and caught him.
At one point, like, she just like opens up. It's almost like the fat lady from Total Recall. Her whole outfit like splits in half, and she jumps out, and she's actually like much smaller than she appeared, and like jumps out of her. That part's weird. And then she runs backwards really fast.
She's wearing like a fishnet outfit underneath it, pretty much.
Sexy.
Very erotic. Oh yeah, but I love how she like disappears off scene. It's like, you know, the camera transitions back and forth between Ogami and her, and like every time it does, she's like another 50 feet back, like, and just like standing still, and then it goes back, and then she's just totally gone.
Clearly, they just filmed her running towards the camera and then played it in reverse and sped it up. It's pretty cool though. And it has no purpose. Like, she just escapes in a cool purpose. She just escapes in a cool way.
There's a scene where he like tears all her clothes off, and that's like, you know, I hadn't seen this in a number of years, and rewatching it, I was like, I do not remember this highly aggressive sexual content.
Yeah, trigger warning. I mean, he basically appears like he's going to rape her.
But he doesn't.
And this is after like a whole pirate ship scene, and it catches on fire, but he saves her.
he forcefully tears her clothes off.
He rips all her clothes off. She's
Yep.
struggling. She's on the ground. In this part, it is weird. It just is weird. There's no getting around it.
Well, they were getting naked to share body heat, which they also then do with the child, which is an actual survival tactic.
Everyone get naked and just do a group hug.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like ideally you'd have like a sleeping bag or whatever, but yeah.
I don't know why he keeps saving her. Maybe he's like hoping she could be the new mom for Daigoro or something. But and then like while they're doing the group hug, Daigoro just keeps like grabbing at her tit like he's hungry. He wants to feed. But yeah, also during this scene, she like is about to kill them or try to kill them. And of course, it's not going to work. But she's about to kill them. She has her hand on the sword, and then once the baby starts like grabbing her tit, she decides not to. And then after all that, they saved her just to abandon her, so that she has to commit harikari. She has to go back in shame, admit that she failed as a ninja, and commit harikari.
I think we also missed like another Masters of Death bit in between.
That part
Like-
is just when, yeah, that's on the pirate ship. There's a whole pirate ship bit, which is kind of possibly left over from the original film where it almost, but yeah, the Masters of Death with their giant hats, they meet the lone wolf and they basically tell him, we won't kill you if you just leave us alone. But
Which
also,
is disappointing and such a tease for now.
but now we kind of reached the final scene. We've hit all the major biomes, biospheres or whatever. The end takes place in a desert, which is badass. You got the three Masters of Death. They're escorting Lord Kiru, who's in like this, how would you describe it? They're carrying him in a wooden box.
Yeah,
Where like a king gets to hang out in. Which,
yeah, it's a weird
that's a power
means
move.
of transportation.
Make
but,
dudes carry you.
I mean, like if you were on like one of those Egyptian, things, like a Xerxes fucking human pyramid that they have to break their spines carrying everywhere, that would be cooler. But this is like it's just
This
like
is
another.
small.
It's like the carriage thing, basically.
It looks like pallbearers. He's like
It
like a
does.
tiny little coffin almost. But
Guess
yeah,
he was just relaxing.
there's a whole subplot that they like barely get into in Shogun Assassin, but there's rebels and they're fighting the Shogun's forces. Well, at this point, the three Masters of Death, they're like, there's rebels here. And I don't think we mentioned this, but each of the Masters of Death have their own weapon.
Of
One
course.
has like Wolverine claws. One has spiked gloves. And then one has like a club.
Yeah.
But the dude with the Wolverine claw, I think he's like the leader. He just like stabs the sand and all of a sudden blood
just-
leaks out. And yeah, there's rebels hiding in the sand. Of course, the three Masters of Death just kill them all.
Slaughtered.
Then they're confronted by who else but the lone wolf and cub, which at this point, he just fucks them all up. And it's the final climactic scene of the film. And the first brother, he hits him, he splits him in half vertically, and he just like peels apart. It's one of the cooler effects of the whole film. And blood just squirts out of like in between the two halves.
I like the wailing winter winds.
Oh,
Nice
yeah.
slice. That's fun.
That's the third guy. But
Yeah.
yes, when he finally kills the leader, he's dying and blood's like squirting out of his neck. Your technique is magnificent. And then he gives a whole speech, which I have not figured out. So I want to say the actor who played the lone wolf, he's also in a Ridley Scott film. And I
Which
thought,
one?
Black Rain, I believe is what it's called, which I have not seen. And he's also in Bad News Bears Go to Japan. But anyway, the speech of the main Master of Death or whatever kind of reminded me of the speech at the end of Blade Runner. Tears lost in the rain. The tears in the rain speech.
Yeah.
But I love this speech.
Fire
'cause-
off the moons of Saturn or whatever.
Yep.
That replicant says.
But the speech in this one's also badass. He says, "When cut across the neck, a sound like wailing winter winds is heard. I always hope to cut someone like that one day, to hear that sound. But to have it happen to my own neck is ridiculous."
Best believe it, Bubs. It's happening. That is fun, though.
It's so badass. Yeah,
also sampled on Liquid Swords.
Yes. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that made the cut.
I mean, I'm sure that ridiculous just matched the way his lips were moving, but that dub is ridiculous. I think we can safely say that dub is ridiculous. It's an absurd death speech. But yeah, and I want to see that movie Black Rain now I have to see it.
Yeah, it's got Michael Douglas.
I got to connect all the dots here. And I mean, that guy was in an estimated between 250 and 500 films. He's been in so many films that Wikipedia just has an estimate. That's like such a big range, too. 250 and 500.
Would that make him like the most credited film actor of all time?
He's up there. I mean, he is up there. I want to say his name one more time. Just give him one more shout out. Tomasaburo Wakayama. He is a badass. He is a badass. But yeah, that's the end of Shogun Assassin. And then there's 4 more Shogun Assassins that you get to enjoy. Which those ones aren't edited as much. They're just dubbed versions of Lone Wolf and Cub 3 through 6. But they're also really good. One of them has like topless women fighting with swords, getting covered in blood. They're also just as ridiculous and fun as this one.
All right. Well, gosh, that's it, right?
That's it.
That's it. There is the final line of the film delivered by Daigoro, which we'll just read it off as well because I think it is also kind of ridiculous.
They all are.
Yeah. I guess I wish it was different, but a wish is only a wish, which is true. He's right. It is only a wish.
A wish is only a wish.
And then it's final shots of freeze frame up close to Daigoro's face.
And then a badass.
His total Chad haircut.
Yeah. His big dick haircut. Is that weird to say about a baby? Probably. Anyway, yes, we did it. Shogun Assassin. I think.
Wow.
Was that our first foreign film? I guess Fantastic Planet is French.
It is.
It also had a lot of
French
difficult
and
names.
Czech, but yeah.
Okay, yep. Czech animators. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, well.
I remember.
branching out. We were a little nervous to do that with all the names. They're not easy.
No, and it's also, I mean, we could talk about violence all day, but
it's more fun to watch it than it is to talk about it, I would say. Like,
I
way.
I hope this filled your commute with some fun or whatever, but like, yeah, watch it. It'll be more fun. If you haven't seen it, and I guess if you're just now hearing us say that, we are so sorry for spoiling the entire film. We didn't know, spoiler alerts.
I mean, the best parts do not convey to commentary. You know what I mean? Like, you have to see those sword fights. They're so well done. You want to see the blood.
It's also been out for 42 years, so, you know.
Exactly.
And it's very culturally significant.
If you haven't seen it,
as pertains to Wu-Tang.
Yeah, if you haven't, especially as it pertains to Wu-Tang. And if you haven't seen it, I mean, the story's been told over and over again. It's one of those, you know, it's legendary at this point. If you've seen The Mandalorian, you kind of get the premise. This one's just much more hyper-violent. And actually, did read it was banned in the UK as a video nasty, just like the Evil
was
Dead.
Literally about to ask, did it get a video nasty?
It's a video nasty. Pretty fun.
If you're one of our UK listeners, which we do have, if you guys could shed any information on the video nasty, and if it sounds ridiculous to you, I'm sure it doesn't, right? But like, man.
I don't know. I mean, video nasty, something about that just makes, that's kind of like one of those things that makes you want to watch it, right? Like They even
It makes me want to watch it.
they've attributed some of the success of like The Evil Dead and even Shogun Assassin to the fact that it was banned. And
Label the video nasty.
if you get the DVD on the cover of this, it says straight up banned since 1983 or whatever.
Yeah, for like the 2000.
It's a great marketing tactic to get banned, you know? It's so bad that it can't be watched.
I mean, a Serbian film is literally the same. It is banned in the most civilized countries, but not just the US, pretty much everywhere. And I guess maybe I don't think it was a marketing ploy. That's just a truly depraved film.
Oh my God. Going back to that Eric Roberts dude, he was on the 4th season of Celebrity Rehab because he was addicted to weed. Which reminds me of the Half Baked when Bob Saget gets up. He's like, "Have you ever sucked dick for weed?" Or whatever. I know I didn't nail that quote very well.
I mean, you got it paraphrased close enough, yeah. We get to watch Bob Saget, who was an actual drug addict, accused Dave Chappelle of not being a real addict because he'd never sucked dick for his fix before.
Fair. I think that's fair. That's when you know you're at rock bottom. Unless you're just gonna do it anyway. I mean, unless that's your thing.
If you're less than zeroing your way to your fucking fix, maybe we need to think about getting you some help.
Oh, nice deep cut there. I'd like to honestly hit less than zero one of these days. That's a fun one.
It is. I think American Psycho is the better Bret Easton Ellis adaptation for Far Out flicks, in terms of just how off the fucking rails it is.
Well, apparently,
Less Than Zero is great, and it's a heavy hitter.
Apparently, the novel of Less Than Zero is way more fucked up than the movie.
Yeah, I think it's the same for Rules of Attraction too, which is, I mean, maybe we do Rules of Attraction. It's not that far out either, though. It's like kids' college edition, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But no AIDS giving in that film.
And on that note, thanks for listening to Far Out Flicks.
Yeah. We're so glad you guys stuck through it with us.
We had fun with this one, right, Andrew?
We have fun with all of them.
He was nervous. He wasn't feeling well before.
I had COVID last week. Damn it! I don't feel good. Whatever, man. I fucking showed up today. I don't want to hear it. As always, like, subscribe, tell a friend. Now join our Patreon. And check out that sweet bonus content, guys. We're actually really excited about it. We're going to do the first episode for free, right? As long as like Patreon doesn't fight us too hard about it, or there is some practical way to do it. And if there isn't, we'll just release it on our normal RSS feed so you can get a sweet, sweet taste.
I think the first bonus one will just come out on the normal feed, and then the way the Patreon works is, I don't know if that'll be a separate feed, but those will populate in your normal podcast app. After you sign up for it, they just appear in your podcast app. It's super easy and convenient, and we're trying to release 2 to 4 of those a month. That's the goal. So we got some good ones coming up.
And this first one, we actually did a Far Out Flicks first.
It's an interview.
It's like almost alliteration. We did an interview. So we didn't like interview one of our friends, or something like that. We got a real interview.
A real indie filmmaker. And it's good. Listen, check it out. Just check it out.
Check it out.
Right
Until
on.
next time, Flickers.
Peace.
Peace.